Welcome to today's Explainer. We're unpacking something that, well, it completely flips how we look at our daily routines. It's called the architecture of commitment. If you've ever found yourself wondering how lasting, real success is actually built from the ground up, you are in the right place. Let's just jump right into those foundational blueprints, shall we?
Okay, let's dive into this. What actually drives success? It's a question we've all asked ourselves, right? You look at people at the absolute top of their game, whether that's in business, fitness, or the arts, and you can't help but wonder, what is their secret engine? What is literally propelling them forward day after day, especially when everyone else just seems to be standing totally still?
Now, culturally, we usually just assume the answer is motivation. We are constantly bombarded with this message that we need to find our spark or feel totally inspired before we can take any action. But if you look closely at high performers, you realize something pretty shocking. It's a myth. A widely accepted myth, actually. Relying on that magical lightning-in-a-bottle feeling of motivation, that might literally be the exact bottleneck holding us back. Why? Because our feelings are neurologically designed to fluctuate.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how our day-to-day lives completely contradict that myth. We all know from experience that emotional states are incredibly fleeting. Some days you wake up, your dopamine is pumping, and you feel absolutely unstoppable. But then other days, the alarm goes off and doing literally anything feels like moving mountains. Our brains are hardwired to seek comfort. So if we only take action on the days when that neurochemical cocktail is just right, well, our progress is going to be incredibly inconsistent.
So, if motivation is basically just a fleeting emotional weather pattern, what's the actual bedrock of success? It's discipline. When we put these two side by side, the contrast is super sharp. Motivation is airy, it's subjective, and it's tied entirely to how you just so happen to feel on a random Tuesday morning. But discipline? Discipline is grounded. It's an objective action. It's that sturdy architecture that holds the whole shebang together when the emotional weather inevitably turns bad.
And this brilliantly illustrates what discipline actually is at its core. It's simply doing what needs to be done even when every single fiber of your being would rather skip it. It's basically a cognitive override of our natural desire to just be comfortable. When those fleeting highs of motivation just completely evaporate, discipline is the reliable system that kicks in. Think of it like a sturdy autopilot. It keeps the plane flying perfectly level, even when the pilot is completely and utterly exhausted.
Understanding this totally changes how we need to look at our daily routines. The truth is, our futures aren't being shaped by these grand, sweeping, one-time gestures. No, they are actively being built by the habits we reinforce every single day. We're talking about the micro-level mechanism of habit formation here. Those quiet, totally unseen choices you make on a random afternoon, those act as the physical bricks actively building the house of your future.
So what does this actually look like in everyday life? It's very specific choices. It's lacing up your running shoes when the couch is practically magnetically pulling you back in. It's deliberately choosing to read 10 pages of a book to expand your mind instead of aimlessly doom-scrolling through social media for an hour. These actions aren't always glamorous, are they? But deliberately practicing a tough skill, actively putting in the hours to improve, that forms the raw material of discipline.
And the absolute crucial insight here is that all of it matters, every single bit. In behavioral psychology, this is the magic of compounding. None of your effort is ever wasted. Not a single hour of deep study, not a clumsy attempt at a new skill, not even that brutal workout where you felt super slow. It all compounds. Every tiny action adds up permanently in the ledger of your personal growth, creating a massive foundation over time.
So, the crucial point is avoiding the trap of instant gratification. It's such a human tendency, right? We completely underestimate what we can achieve in a year because we are just so hyper-focused on getting quick results. It's like we plant a seed and demand a harvest the very next day. But real, architectural-level success operates on a macro scale. It demands patience. You kind of have to completely reject that microwave timeline we always expect our lives to follow.
Let's move on and see how this builds over time. When you map it out, the progression of compounding effort is just undeniable. It starts super small at the micro level, making just one difficult choice in a single hour. Then, that isolated victory builds into a successfully managed day. Zoom out over an entire year, and the reality comes into focus. Real success is a slow, relentless march. It's a steady accumulation of tiny, disciplined choices that eventually snowball into undeniable achievement.
To really build this architecture, we need a fundamental mindset shift. Stop waiting for inspiration. Honestly, drop the excuse. This habit we have of constantly checking inward, asking if we're in the mood to do the hard work, it gives our fleeting emotions way too much power over our actions.
Yes, feelings are informative, but they absolutely should not dictate your forward momentum.
Instead, we need to shift to a much deeper principle. There's a brilliant summary of this. Commitment will take you places that motivation never can. And the reason for this is purely structural. Commitment is an identity-level decision. It literally does not care if it's raining outside or if you're tired. It completely bypasses those emotional filters that scream at us to quit, acting as an unbreakable promise to yourself.
Now, maintaining that kind of unyielding commitment requires some serious psychological resilience, but it really boils down to 3 fundamental behaviors. First, you just have to keep showing up, even on the days when it feels like you're moving backwards. Second, keep working. Even when it's incredibly tedious and unrewarding in the short term, you're reinforcing that habit loop. And finally, keep believing. When the end goal feels impossibly far away, you have to maintain the vision of the architecture you are actively building.
When you trade that fleeting high of motivation for the unbreakable iron of commitment, something amazing happens. Eventually, the physical evidence of your work, the undeniable results you've actually built, starts to naturally overwrite any of those old internal narratives of doubt. I mean, one day, the towering reality of what you've structurally accomplished is going to speak far louder than any past excuses ever did.
Which brings us to a final, really important question we all have to ask ourselves. Are you actually committed to building your foundation, or are you just waiting around for motivation? Because the choice between actively shaping your future or just passively waiting for a feeling to strike, well, that's entirely up to you.